Sharp rally on Ultratech Cement as we're getting ready to hit the closing bell. That's the Nifty. It's ending at the highs of the day for what it's worth, a close above 11,600. Just quickly, before we get into the close, Abhimanyu, tomorrow's big event, of course, is going to be IT, TCS, Infosys, expectations, and which is your preferred stock?
So, what our view is that going forward, there will be some amount of challenge in terms of the overall traditional IT, contracts that we are seeing. Though this year, the average contracts have improved by close to around 12%. The North American market has come down by 1%. So, in this particular quarter, which is more of a lackluster quarter for IT, there could be some tailwinds in terms of cross currency, and one can see around a 2% kind of a constant currency kind of a growth. But broadly speaking, we would be more bullish on the smaller companies, which are like the Infosys or Mindtree, those kind of companies, rather than going for a TCS, where we see that the growth rate would be timid at around 8 to 10% in terms of bottom line. And in case of Infosys also, it will be slightly higher at around 11%. So in terms of both these companies, if one has to choose one, we would go with Infosys rather than TCS, because we see that there is a sufficient leg room in terms of growth going forward in terms of bench utilization for Infosys relative to TCS.
Okay, all right, gentlemen, let's just recap how the day has played out. It's actually been better than what one anticipated from a bull's point of view. Midday, there was a bit of a scare, but then there was buying that came back in. So we're looking at gains of about 18 points on the index. Top winners of the day, Indiabulls Housing Finance, 2.5% up on that stock. We're looking at Bharti Airtel, 2% up over there as well. Some of the Bajaj Group stocks, Bajaj Auto, Bajaj Finserv, even Bajaj Finance for that matter, all the Bajaj Group counters were up and about in today's action. Decent buying over here. Dr. Reddy's 1.5% up. Then the banks came in to add selectively. SBI has had a decent session, 1.5%. HDFC Bank, Yes Bank are some of the other names that chipped in towards the end. But look at ICICI Bank. That has been a bit of a disappointment today. It took the day off, so to speak, down about 1%. Speaking of the losers, let me point out some other names. Vedanta, concern on zinc prices, concern on some of the recent personnel developments within the company, some exits, 4% down on that stock. Sun Pharma, Power Grid, and Tech Mahindra were some of the other losers. Actually, IT overall has had a muted close as we're getting into the thick of earnings season tomorrow. TCS, Infosys, both of those stocks finally ending with a cut of about 1% apiece. That's how it's closed out. So very, very quiet trends on the large cap side. Not too much lost, not too much gained. Let's come to mid-caps now. Similar story here. Very flat on the index, just about 15 points up on the mid-cap index. If you talk about some of the movers and shakers, Manappuram Finance was an interesting one, 6% on that stock. Some of the life insurers have had a good run today. So look at HDFC Life, 4.5% on HDFC Life. ICICI Pru also had some gains to speak of, though of course in smaller measure. That's about a 0.7% increase coming in. Rain Industries, CG Power, Ashok Leyland, Tata Global Beverages. These are some names on the upside. Watch out for some of the power stocks. Adani Power and Tata Power had very sharp spikes in the last hour of trade. Adani is going home with a 3% up move. Ditto for Tata Power as well. So these were some of the stocks that were worth noticing. On the flip side, mid-caps, what lost today? Some ADAG names like Reliance Naval on the way down. Edelweiss Financial is down about 3%. It's been a weak week for Edelweiss, 5% lower actually for the week gone by. Jubilant Foodworks has lost about 2.5%. And something like DLF is down another 2%. So that's how the pie was split up today. All right, let's take final thoughts with the experts. Mitesh, now, given that today's been a very indecisive day, how would you approach the last day of the week?
So I think, as I said, broadly the range-bound outlook continues. Therefore, we bought into stocks as well as indices towards close to about 11,560. And I think on the Bank Nifty, we did make a fresh low below 29,700, but kind of recovered to close above that. So I think if today's low is holding and there's a good chance of that, then 30,200, 29,650 becomes the range. So broadly, it says a choppy market without any directional bias, but since my overall structural view is positive, I would still be more of looking at buying opportunities on these dips closer to support areas, and you take a tight stop loss of 30-40 points on the Nifty when you're buying close to support areas.
Okay, same question to you, Ashwini. 11,600, so approach for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, first half is likely to be positive. Once everybody is in, then again you have a 50-point decline on the market. Basically range bound, nothing really to talk about. And even if there is some upside, how sustainable is that? That will obviously depend on results. So if you get some kind of gap up tomorrow morning, look to take profits and then see if we are able to make substantially higher highs during the day. Unlikely, sideways market, try to play with a sideways mindset.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, then we'll wrap it up on that note. It's a bit of a pause after what's been a heady rally in the month of March. We need to take a break on that note. On the other side, as election season kicks off in India and the country begins to vote, we'll tell you how the telecom sector has fared in last year's. Stay tuned for that report card.